Ho, ho, ho! Today on Woodturning, we're going to make a Christmas tree wine stopper.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood-turning tools. Made by a woodturner, for woodturners. So the wine stopper we're going to make today is really cool. It's out of one piece of wood and we're using hard maple, and then we're dyeing the wood and also scorching it to give you some really neat delineations there. Now inside of here, I just have this shoved in here, see if I can get it out of there. We have the Ruth Niles bottle stopper system we're going to use again. We worked with her system before and it was really, really good. And this just seemed to be the perfect project. I had a little piece of tape in there to hold that in there because I didn't want to glue it in yet. But anyway, this is beautiful. It's a really high-end piece of kit, as they would say in England. So we're going to use that. What we're going to start with over here on the lathe now is we have about a 2" by 2" by about 5" piece of hard maple mounted on the lathe. And we're simply going to round it out using our roughing gouge. Whoa, I should have cleaned those before I put them on. Okay, nothing's hitting. Going to turn it on. Here we go. We're just going to take easy passes and just remove the excess wood, which are the corners that we don't need. As always, place your feet to where you want to wind up and then lean into the cut and you wind up balanced through the whole process. Bring this down a little bit more. See if I can hit Brian with the shavings. So once we have this rounded out, and this feels like it's rounded out now, we're going to take this and head over to the drill press and put a hole in it. Now I'm going to drill 2 different holes. One's a relief hole. That doesn't make sound good, but anyway, you know what I mean. One thing Ruthie told me to do is to recess this a little bit so when this goes in there, it sits underneath, so it looks like a really clean connection. So I've got a Forstner bit in here, and we're just going to make a little bit of indentation. Now, by the way, my blank had a really flat bottom on it, so I'm able to put this in here and it's perfectly, aligned. If not, you want to take a parting tool to yours and clean up one of the ends so when it sits on your drill press, it's straight up and down. So we'll just go in here a little bit. Now the Forstner bit has a bit of a point on it, so that'll help us center the bit for the next bit. So I'm going to go in about, a little more than I need to. So that's about a 1/4 of an inch or a little bit less, 3/16, and I'm going to trim some of that off when we get on the lathe. But next I need to drill the next hole that will hold the threads for the bottle stopper. One of the neat things with Ruth's bottle stopper system is that it comes with 2 drill bits of 2 different sizes. So if you're using a softwood, you want to do the smaller bit because the threads will dig into the softwood well, or like in this case with hard maple, I've got the larger drill bit in here, and so it'll make a little bit wider hole and it makes it easier to get the threads in. You see it centered itself up on the Forstner bit tip there, and I'm going to go in about a 1/2 inch, make sure I'm a little bit overly in there. It's not going to pop out the bottom of the top of the tree, so we're good. Okay, now I've got this mounted on her mount system. There's a thread in here and you screw that hole onto the thread, and that's how that holds that. I've nipped a bit of this off with the bandsaw because I realized I had way too much wood for the project. But anyway, that is our tree right there inside of this. So we're just going to freehand this. This doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want these to be exactly the same. I want it to look kind of natural, kind of crafty. So that's why measure it out? Just do it by hand and make it look cool. So we're going to start this up. I have the tailstock up just for a little bit extra support. And you can see that it's a little bit out of round right now, but that's okay. That just happens when you remount something sometimes. So I'm going to come in here with my bowl gouge. I need to lower this just a tick. The bowl gouge makes the shape of them after really well, so I want to use it. So I'm going to start removing some of the excess wood and start making kind of a triangle shape. And then out of the triangle shape, I'll start making the branches that come out, or the little triangle shapes that are on the Christmas tree. So come down here, smooth this out a little bit more. And actually, if I take my big old roughing gouge, I probably could do this a little quicker. Like so. So it helps me come in. I can make angles with the roughing gouge, but I can't make tight curves. So there we go. And I want to leave it a little fat from where I want to end up, because in case something happens, I will have a little design modification room. So there, now we have a cone. Put that up. Now we're going to go back in here. Looking back at that. So my first branch is going to be about right here. So I'm going to just come in and make this shape. Now remember, I was going to clean up the bottom of this, so you want to make this piece just a little extra long, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove this with a parting tool in a minute. So come back in here, make another light cut. I want to do as little sanding as possible on this, so I'm just going to take my time. So the next one goes in like so. That looks about right. Come in here. Now the tree's got to get smaller, so we got to take this outside edge off a little bit. Like so. That's looking good. So we have, according to this, I got 1, 2, 3 more to make, and then we're going to start working on that little ornament on the top. Okay, I've been whittling my way down to the last part of the tree in the ornament. So the last part of the tree is going to start about right here. Where'd I put that thing? So I'm right here, and I'm going to make this piece and that transition into the ornament on top. So just want to be careful. It's thin wood right now. You don't want to mess it up, so you take little bitty cuts and take your time. I've got the lathe running at the fastest speed possible, which is I think around 3,000 RPM, which is really hauling. But the deal is you don't have very many feet per second right here, so that's why it seems to take longer to make a cut. I'm still using my bowl gouge, but I'm just about ready now to switch back to a spindle gouge, because it'll help me make the curves that I need, because right here's about where the ball ornament's going to be. So we'll just worry away some of that wood. You notice I'm using my whole body to make these little movements, because it's much more stable than trying to do it just with your hands. You can make a lot of mistakes doing that. So anyway, so we got this coming in here. We want that to be nice and tight. You also notice, if you look at the shape here, I've done a bit of a scooping out to give it some shape. When I first started, I was just doing straight cuts, but then by adding that little scoop there, it gives the tree a little bit more of a delicate look. So we're going to bring this down. We don't want our ornament to be too big on the top. This is one thing you have to remember. You can't put wood back on, so you got to take your time. So go here. Come in here. This is going to be my transition point. And we want it to be very small, because we want this to be delicate. Now don't make it absolutely ridiculously small, because it will break off when you give it to the person who's going to use it. And also, this little ball in here, don't make the point really sharp, because sometimes people like to push down on top of their wine stoppers or wine bottle stoppers, and they might forget there's a point on this one if they've had too much wine. Of course, at that point, if they had too much wine, they're probably not putting a stopper back on because they finished the bottle. Anywho, not talking from experience, no, not at all. Okay, so we're going to start doing a little curve here. This transition is the trickiest part. You can actually take your tool and pull here to finish that cut. Now I want to make sure I have a little bit of a curve in there like I had on the other pieces. So now we're going to worry away some wood. So there's not much of a transition there, so we got to be careful about how hard we push on the wood. I'm still using the live center for support, which really helps me out, because there'd be a lot of vibration if I didn't have that right now. So again, we're using our body to make most of these movements. Got to make this a little more delicate. I don't want a giant ball on top here. So come back down here. We're going to make that curve again. I don't want to sand a whole lot. Oops. See that design modification right there? We'll come back here. Come in here. That looks good. And here we go. We're going to lose the support of the tailstock here in just a second. I know this is going long, but I figured you'd want to see this in real time. It's a little more educational when I can talk over what I'm doing. But I'm trying to make the curve go down and up, so there we go. These little bitty lines you see on here will sand out with 180 grit sandpaper on hard maple. It's not a big deal. But I do want to make sure I have this curve here. And we're going to make this point here. We're about ready to lose the support of our tailstock. So you see the wood's going to stop spinning there. Drops off. Now we want to do this. And when I sand this, I'm going to take that really hard point off. There we go, one more little movement here. That looks ugly, let's do it a little more. That looks pretty cool. Okay, now I do want to part this end here because I need a clean bottom, and I made that recess a little bit extra deep. So I've got to do that before I sand here. Take your time, make a nice clean cut so you don't tear any grain out. There it goes. Awesome. I'm putting a little bit of isopropyl alcohol into these 2 cups because we're going to use trans tint, which is a really cool dye that you can use on wood. And it's alcohol based, so I've got like a capful or 2 in there, so I'm simply going to go with 1 drop. Let me show you here. That is not much in there, right? But it will go a long ways, so we're going to stir that up. So that's our green color right there that we're going to use for the tree. Then we want to make our ornament nice and red, so we're going to go, let me put the cap back on. I probably should have worn gloves because now I'm going to be wearing that color for a week. Take the trans tint red, and I'm wearing that one. Now I'm going to look, I'm bleeding all the time. Just 1 little drop. That's all we need in there. I'm going to get a different stirring stick. There we go. And I put a piece of wood in there. But that's okay. It'll show us how the wood looks. Anyway, now we're going to go over to the lathe, and we're going to start putting this on our wine stopper. Okay, I actually ran out of 1-inch brushes, so I had to cheat and kind of modify this one a little bit. So hopefully it goes down into the cup enough. And, oh, crap. You don't want to trans tint your American Beauty, do you? So put a little bit of protection down here too. Although there's so much stuff I've done to this poor lathe that I'm a little embarrassed about it. Okay, so that soaked up almost all of the green. So we're going to put this on here. Now this might not look like it's going on very heavy, but this stuff is really cool in that when we put our finish on here, it's going to darken up a bit. So I cut this little brush because I want to be very careful cutting into the ornament there. And I don't want to go up too far. I'm going to turn it like this. Okay. So the idea is we want to saturate this wood with the color. And we're going to do this a couple times. We're going to let it soak in a little bit. And like I said, since it's alcohol based, one way to speed up this process is actually a cool thing. It gives us a little more detail on this. Let me get up to here real quick. Okay, and if you mess up, don't worry, you can always sand off the excess. But anyway, so I want this to dry in there, right? So how am I going to do that? Well, it's alcohol based. Let's use a little bit of flame. So, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn the lathe on really slow, and do this. And it's going to dry it off. Now, but if I bring it in close enough, I'm going to start burning the edges of the wood right there. See that? Now that detail is really, really cool because once we add a little more color, that's going to stand out and give some dimension to the tree. So a couple more coats, and then we'll be attacking that ornament up top. Okay, now for the tip, we're going to try a little different technique, and actually I've never done it before, so we'll see how it works. It just makes sense that maybe if I can turn the lathe on to help me out, turn it way down and turn it on, I can make this go on a little easier. Yeah, it looks good. I have a little more control here. Oh yeah, that worked good. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. We're going to do the same technique. We're going to do this a couple times, put some layers on there. You can see how the green started really coming out, so I'm happy with that. So there we go. I'm going to take my little friend the fire here. See how it goes white so fast? That alcohol burns off so quickly. And we just did our lathe. Hey, Brent, can you send me a new lathe? I killed this one. God, people are going to watch shows from now on and go, what did he do to himself? Or they're going to see me tomorrow and wonder what I did to myself. Oh, well, that's the fun of this. Yes. Always remember to wear rubber gloves. Okay, now I've got some Watco clear lacquer here. And if you notice on the one I've done before, it's a really dark, beautiful, rich green, right? But when you look down here, we're lighter colored. Well, the Watco gives you that depth. And you're going to want to put a couple of coats on here. Make sure you have good ventilation system and that you're not on camera talking when you do this stuff. Anyway, we'll just do that. Oops, aim it right. Get some coats on there. I got my little turntable here, like so. And then if you're in a hurry, like some people are, I will take my heat gun normally, and I will just try to dry it off so I can get another coat on. This stuff usually can be coated within 30 minutes, but you don't want to wait that long sometimes. But anyway, once you have that done, you want to take a little bit of that green dye and put it on the bottom there so you just have some color. You can finish this up nicer if you want to. And then you take your bottle stopper from Ruth Niles, screw it in there. You probably want to use a little bit of epoxy if the threads don't hold real well, but that's in there nice and tight, so I don't think I need to. But anyway, that is how you make a Christmas tree wine stopper. I hope you enjoyed it. So until the next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners.